To be head coach Matt Figger. The Governors predicted to be top of the heap in the OVC this season. Joining us from Clarksville. Hey, Coach, how are you?
Bob, how you doing, man?
I am doing great. Good to see you again. We haven't seen a lot of each other, even though we might live in the same city, but that's been the case for a lot of people. Said that to your colleague David Midlick a little while ago as well. Take us through from the point of time last season, losing in the semis in Evansville, going home, having some postseason potential, and then all of that falling apart.
Yeah, you had to bring that up. We had it was a devastating week. We had lost to Murray twice in 6 days, I believe. The crazy thing, Bob, is that we lost that night. We have spring break. We're the first tournament finished, so we have no idea what's going to happen with postseason. So we've got spring break coming up, and I let the guys go home that next day. Heck, they stayed home. That's what happened. They stayed home. Next thing I know, our country's in shutdown, and I never imagined in my lifetime that I would be a part of something like this. That you can't go out, you can't be in public, and you got to wear a mask. And I mean, I thought this stuff happened in movies only. I didn't realize this was going to happen in real life. So it's been strange and odd, that's for sure.
That would put you with countless Americans that kind of feel that same way. So how do you manage, and how did you manage, and are still managing, basketball life throughout all of this pandemic? And then all of a sudden there's a little bit of a light at this tunnel, and it may be the start of a season.
It's been one day at a time, man. Bob, I tell you, I've you realize as an adult, I mean, I guess my identity's already been established and everything. The biggest thing is that I've got a bunch of 18 to 21-year-old kids whose identity has been basketball, and that's what they identify with. And so my biggest thing was to make sure those guys' mental health was in a right frame of mind, because they were just like me. They couldn't leave. They couldn't play basketball. Goals were taken down. Gyms were closed. If they didn't shoot ball in the backyard, what were they doing? So my biggest thing was, when we were apart, was to try to bring some relief to those guys. We didn't talk about basketball or what. I didn't get on Zoom meetings and show them film or any of that stuff. I thought that was nonsense that some of the coaches talk about doing that. That's just, to me, that was, my thing was more about the well-being, and, how can we bond together even stronger, and take steps closer to becoming a better team and better people. So when we got them back in July, I mean, it was a celebration, because we had a bunch of guys who wanted to be here. And, I think, when you're that age, you're fearless when it comes to your mortality and things like that. And I think this generation of kids now, for the first time at that age, realize, well, heck, this being alive and things like that, we can't take it for granted. And so I think now these kids are refocused on not taking things for granted. And the one thing I will say, Bob, is that these kids are resilient. They try to do whatever you ask them to do. They try to follow the guidelines. I mean, think about this. Think about the restrictions you would have put on you at 20 years old. How well would you follow those restrictions? I always say rules are meant to be broken, but the restrictions that are put on these kids right now is incredible.
So during this time of restrictions, and during this time of being away from the team, you did have some roster moves, some roster changes. Kind of highlight that for me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, everything had reasons behind it. I mean, some of the kids, they were affected by this, and being closer to home, being closer to family. I won't get into each individual who we had international kids. We had,
Yeah.
just the pandemic and the things that happened. Some of these kids decided to be closer to home, and that's life. And I respected it, and we had to move forward, and because everything has to move forward. So we respected these kids, and they did a lot for us. But the kids that came back are the ones that wanted to be here.
You have a dynamic duo, if you will, of Jordan Adams and Terry Taylor. I think we're running out of accolades to provide Terry for his first 3 seasons at Austin Peay. Talk about a little bit about those two and what they mean to you and to the program, especially. Let's just flip the script a little bit. Jordan's emergence last season, I thought was spectacular. To those of us that follow the conference, to you, the coach, you knew this was coming.
I make stupid, bold predictions sometimes. I'm not scared to do that. When I feel like I can back them up, when I coached Terry his first summer, I knew he was going to be really good. And, I think I said this last year when I was there in Evansville, when they got asking about our team, and we had a kind of a weird, unique deal where it was Terry and a bunch of unknowns. And I said, the kid in practice every day that gets my attention is Jordan Adams. And I think he has a chance to be another special player. And, both those guys proved me correct. They make me a better coach every day. So I'd rather have him than not have him.
Let's talk about those around them. Your guard play a little inconsistent, a little up and down last season. Have you remedied that?
Well, it was inconsistent or up and down, Bob, from the standpoint that they were young. When Carlos Paez was shooting the ball very well, we were 10-0, and he kind of wore down. And then Alec Woodard kept developing. I think Alec is got a chance to be one of the better defensive players in the league that you need because of his physicality and his size. And then we lost Reginald G, who was supposed to help us, who was actually our second or third leading scorer going into the first 5 games of the year, and we lost him to an ACL injury. And so now he's back, and going to be a part of things. We signed a kid named DJ Peavy from Dallas, who we started his career at Mercer, who is going to help us at the point. And then we had Devin McCain, who had redshirted also with injury. That was Mr. Basketball in the state of Texas. And then we added a kid from Baton Rouge who'd been on 4 state championship teams, a kid named Tyrion Joseph, who I think is another one of those kids that can give us help. So I hope we addressed whatever was inconsistency. I mean, I feel like our inconsistency was just lack of playing time as far as youth and inexperience more than anything else. And hopefully that will get better.
Well, that's going to change for you this season because you're going to play more conference games. Before we get to that, talk about your pre-conference schedule and what you've been able to put together.
I laughed with the guys a while ago and they said, what do you think about your that's been going on with your non-conference schedule? I just wanted a piece of paper. I'm threw it in the trash. I said, that's kind of how it's been dealt with. Right now in Stone, we play an MTE in Florida, and we're still in a work in progress and trying to finish up our conference schedule. So it's a TBD right now. But we feel good that we'll have 7 non-conference games, and we got 3 right now. We feel like we're close in the process of finishing the other 4. So we feel good about that, and we jump into a 20-game conference schedule, which it's weird. Matt and I, McMahon, have talked about this quite a bit. We're going to play Murray State twice in December. And that game has had so much meaning. The last game of the year for the past 3 years is to determine who's won the league. My first year, they had to win the conference or share the conference. Second year, same deal. And then the third year, last year, came down between us, Belmont, and them on that last day, and that game has been so important. And so because of the things that's happened, we're going to play both of them in December.
I saw your two respective athletic directors in a game of rock, paper, and scissors yesterday. So I think you get the first one before Christmas.
Yeah, well, we're playing both. And that should be announced. I don't know if it has been announced, but yeah, the one we're getting one for sure at home on the 21st. So we'll see.
So what about the rest of this conference? I mean, people want to focus on Murray State, Austin Peay as well. They should, because both programs have been fantastic. It seems like forever, but there's Belmont coming along, Eastern Kentucky coming along. In your fourth season, you see the progression of this conference. It's been pretty impressive.
Well, I mean, my second year, there was two teams that made the NCAA tournament. Bob, Murray State, and in modern times, Murray State and Belmont they are the gold standard of the league. Make no mistake about it. I think everybody in this league has been playing up to them or trying to play catch up with those guys. And since I've been in the league, that's the road to the championship has went through those two teams. I mean, Belmont won the tournament last year. Murray won it the previous two. But I do think, with that being said, I do think we have elevated our program, with those guys. I think Eastern Kentucky has. I don't think no one's talking. Eastern Illinois is going to be really good. Jay's done an unbelievable job. I just think from top to bottom, I can sit here and go on. I think since I've joined the league, I think every school has made steps towards wanting to be in that category with Murray and Belmont and Jacksonville State, ourselves, EKU, Tennessee State, Eastern Illinois, Tennessee Tech. I can go on and on. I mean, UT Martin, everybody has recruited well. I think the league is, I think there's 13 out of 15 all conference players back. I know we're getting accolades on paper right now, but I don't think people realize that how good this league could be and how good it's going to be from top to bottom. And I think everybody's going to be very competitive. And then you put 20 games in the mix. And I wish we'd have done 22. I'll say it myself. I just wish we'd have done the round robin. That way there had been no question of who the best team was. That's my 2 cents. But I think the league is going to be fantastic.
That's a familiar sentiment that's been echoed among your fellow coaches. Hey, one last question I want to ask you. The pre-conference schedule, whatever you can get in, CMT in Florida, wherever it may be, what do you feel a need to accelerate some things to get ready for conference play since it's so early on? Or kind of what will be your measuring stick during that time?
Bob, I think everything's going to be a work in progress. I think, every one of us are going to be, it's a different thing. It's going to be unique. I think the coaches that can make adjustments throughout the season are going to be the ones that have the most success because you don't know what's going to happen. So right now I'm preparing for everything. We may press, we may play zone, we may play triangle and two. Who knows? I mean, I'm just throwing all that out there. I mean, we may bring the four corners back as long as I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, it's going to make you creative as a coach. I'll put it to you that way. I think we're going to see a lot of unique things this year. And I think it'll be for the better. I think scoring will continue to go up because I think defensively, as you look in college football right now, you're seeing that offenses are dominating the defenses. In the NFL, same deal because you're not getting you haven't got the reps and things like that. So I think you'll see a season where the teams with the best offenses are going to be the teams that win and hopefully we can score enough points this year.
Matt Figure, head coach at Austin Peay. Thank you so much for joining us, and we for sure will see you along the way.
I appreciate you, pal. Thanks.